Hey everyone, it's Graeme Street, and you're here with me on my YouTube channel or on cyclo-core.com, and today I'm going to go over 5 beautiful, simple tips and techniques for beginners all the way through ultra-advanced cyclists to get faster from point A to point B. I just took the past hour and a half to do 2 different 15-mile time trials. You can call them time trials if you want, but basically how to get faster from point A to point B is probably the ultimate quest for us as the everyday cyclist. And I think a lot of us tend to confuse on how to do that properly, because most of us think to get faster from point A to point B, I have to work harder. I have to push my heart rate, my power, my potential harder. And although working harder is one component of getting faster, it's not the only way to get faster between point A and point B. First thing, I want you to start thinking of your riding, especially from point A to point B, whether that's 5 miles, 10 miles, 50 miles, or 100 miles. And yes, you can do time trials that are 50 and 100 miles long. Absolutely you can. Start thinking about it as more as how efficient you are between point A and point B, not just how powerful you are between point A and point B. I think a lot of us tend to get that misnomer. And although working hard is important, it's not going to guarantee that when you finish at point B, you are faster between point A and point B. What I like to do, especially during a time trial, and I thought about this all day as I'm out there hammering it out for those 2 15-mile time trials, is when the course is hard and it's kicking me in the ass, whether it's a headwind, whether it's a tough tarmac, whether it's a slight gradient, whether it's a tough climb, is that when it's harder, I'm working harder on the course. Typically, that's about 5 to 10% harder than your threshold level effort. So if my threshold heart rate is 160 beats per minute, give or take, during that phase or that part of the course, I want to be what? About 165 to 167 beats per minute. Okay? Not at 171, not 172. If I get too high above that number, what happens? I blow up, I hit my VO2 max, and I have to pay back too much of a debt to keep working at a fast pace afterwards. When the course is at its easiest, whether it's a downhill, whether it's a tailwind, or whether it's just a fast part of the course, if my goal today was 23 miles per hour for the 15 miles, for my goal pace, then I want to be basically working easy whenever the course gets to be 25 to 30 plus miles an hour, meaning don't be exerting a lot of power or force during that time. A lot of inexperienced cyclists will tend to do that. When the course gets easy and quick, they'll tend to work harder than they need to. And then when the course gets too hard, they got nothing left in the tank. So hold back a little bit when the course is speeding up. When the course is moderate, this is the bread and butter part where you want to be really applying your threshold to its full potential. Whether that threshold is based on your heart rate, your power meter, or a combination of speed and cadence. And again, cadence can play a big role as well. But what you don't want to be doing is working too far above or below your goal pace during that time. So for me, when I hit a part of the course that's not too fast or too slow, all I'm looking to do is be plus or minus 5 miles per hour within my goal pace. And again, knowing your goal pace for the distance given is an important component as well. So step number 2 is, what is your goal today? Is your goal to be 2 miles per hour faster than you've ever done it, or 0.5 miles per hour faster than you've ever done it? And you want to set that goal in advance of actually doing it. Again, a lot of people will go out onto a course and go out for point A to point B, and they won't have a designated goal on how much faster they want to get. Now, third thing, and this one's important, this is what I really specialize in and what I teach to you guys in my Cyclo 90 base and then into my Cyclo 90 in-season protocol. If any of you that are using either my base Cyclo 90 or in-season are always going to see time trial specific workouts. Why? Whether you're a roadie, a mountain biker, or triathlete, it's really a test of how economical you are, and more importantly, how well you're rotating the techniques that I'm teaching you in the video. So if you've done any of my HIIT workouts, we've gone over things like wagon wheels, rollovers, popcorns. We've gone over scissor kicks. We've gone over things that are going to help you extrapolate more energy from your cycling. And during a time trial, no matter what the course parameters, is when you want to be maximizing the use of those techniques. So today, for instance, during the harder parts of the course, typically subtle climbs that I had out on the course today, I was typically using more shoe scraper and wagon wheel techniques. And I was doing that at a higher RPM. So about 110, 120 RPM on the climbs. When I would hit the top of the climb, I would roll those over. And again, that's a technique we go over in the HIIT videos for those of you that have done it. And we're going basically from a high anaerobic heart rate to slowing that down, letting it recover, and transferring more of that energy into our muscles by basically lowering that cadence from 110, 120 down into the 190 RPM range and gearing that up, meaning we're adding more tension now into your legs. And what we're doing here is we're just simply rotating energy systems as we're rotating gradient and difficulty level. So for lots of you, if you're getting out on your courses and you're trying to mash it out for the full 20K or 30K or 50K, and you wonder why you're petering out after the first 10K, it's because you're too reliant on just your muscular system and not enough on your aerobic and hopefully your anaerobic system, how long you can stay in your anaerobic capacity. And this means the ability for you to stay at or slightly above your threshold potential for longer and longer durations. And if we're not practicing those things, when you try to go faster from point A to point B, you're not going to be able to extrapolate more speed. Because if you can't get to your threshold and maintain that for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, you're going to miss out on that speed potential. Next thing is, obviously, when it comes to point A to point B, the fastest way to get quicker is what? To get more aerodynamic. And this is probably the most misused asset of the everyday cyclist in history, is powerful riders, gotten stronger, gotten more fit, and there they are like a balloon into the wind, and working 20% harder than they need to maintain speed. And of course what happens over time is that you lose the potential for more speed because you're wasting energy. It's kind of like swimming. I don't know if you've ever done swimming before, but we're not very efficient in the water. We weren't designed to be swimming in the water. That's not how our bodies were created. So if you want to become a faster swimmer, just like if you want to become a faster cyclist, you have to become able to glide through the air. You have to become able to slice through that resistance, because it's that resistance of the tarmac and the air resistance, the wind resistance, that's holding you back. So if you're broad-shouldered and upright on the tops or on the hoods, you're missing a lot of potential. We want to get into those drops. We want to get narrower into the wind. And although we can use equipment on our bike, it's typically expensive equipment, and although the bike, the wheels, the aerodynamic profiling will help, and all the bike companies want us to believe that the bike is the answer to more speed. Is it? Because let me tell you, that's maybe 1/3, 1/4 of your speed potential is the actual bike. The other 3/4 of your speed potential is your big melon head and your shoulders bucked up into the wind. So when I'm out there today, and I'm hitting harder parts of the course, which again are usually the hills, I'm less concerned with aerodynamics, more concerned with forward power and propulsion, maximizing my speed up the hill. When I get to the top of the hill, the first thing I'm thinking about is not my speed or my power, but getting away from the wind, hiding from the wind as quickly as I can, which you want to be doing as well. And the more you can hide from that wind, the more you can narrow yourself down into a smaller and smaller ball, the easier it is for that power to guide you through. And if you don't have both of those things, you're not going to get quicker. I've met many a cyclist, very powerful individuals, that can't get faster from point A to point B. And it's simply because they haven't learned or practiced or gained the strength and mobility in their hip girdle, their lower back, and their core to get lower. One of the reasons why we put so much emphasis in my Cyclo 90 programs on Core 2.0 training, my new Cyclo Iron workouts that we are now incorporating into Cyclo 90 training, why do these have value? Well, it's not just to get you more powerful, but it's to get you more functional on the bike. And really, in reality, we want to turn that functionality into aerodynamics. So if I can get you lower on the bike and keep you powerful while you're there, I just helped you gain probably literally a 0.5 mile per hour if you're on the high end, and probably up to 2 miles per hour if you're on the beginner level end or the entry level end. This is why so many of you have gone from like 15 mile per hour averages for 30 miles up to 17. Those of you in the 17 category have gone up to 19. Those of you in the 19 category have gone up to 21, 22. I averaged 23 miles per hour for 30 miles today. over, 1,200 feet of vertical gain with headwinds. Why was I able to do that? It's not just because I'm stronger than I used to be. That is part of it. But more importantly, I had the durability, flexibility, mobility to stay low and slicing through that wind. And that is saving me energy. So now energy that used to be wasted trying to push through more air resistance can now be basically routed directly to the bottom bracket, directly through the wheels, and of course, into forward propulsion. And this is when you start to see an improvement in overall speed. So if you're out there grinding yourself out, and you're working as hard as you can, and you just don't see any discernible changes in your speed, it's because you're not following some of these rules. And the rules are the same for everyone. So whether you are on a $1,000 entry-level bike with old components, or you're on a pro-level machine that costs $10,000, the fundamental rules are the exact same. They don't change. And again, this is what the bike companies don't want you to figure out, is that you can spend $50,000 on your bike. It's not going to guarantee you're going to get much faster from here to there. I hope these tips are helpful, my friend. I do recommend that you do point A to point B riding probably at least once every couple weeks. I know within my Cyclo 90 base and definitely my in-season programs for both road and mountain bike, that I have TTs at least every 10 days or less. And the reason why, again, is not to just find out how much faster you've got, but really how well you're coalescing all the materials I'm teaching you, from the HIIT workouts, the techniques, the core training, the in-ride workouts, the flexibility workouts, the mobility workouts. Each one has purpose, and when they're all coming together, that's when you go out for that 30, 40, 50-mile ride, and you're like, man, I just took 30 minutes off my time, 10 minutes off my time, 5 minutes off my time. Depending on the length of the course, that could be significant. I took, I think, 6% of my time out of my best time from earlier this season when I was pretty fit as well. And simply because I'm more economical today on the bike than I was then. From a power perspective, tough to tell. I didn't have my power meter with me this year. It broke earlier this year, so I've been power meter free. I used heart rate, and I used basically my rate of perceived exertion and my techniques to work faster. And that just goes to show you that you don't have to have a power meter either to get quicker on a bicycle. What you have to do is learn how to listen to your body, rotate that energy scale, rotate those techniques, and then apply them at the right time. If you don't have Cyclo 90 base or the Cyclo 90 in season, again, the base is really where you want to begin. No matter what time of year, how long you've been riding, the base program is going to lay the foundation for gaining 15% strength. That 15% strength is monumental for every cyclist, because if we can gain that along with the efficiency I'm going to teach you in those videos and in the workouts, when we move to the Cyclo 90 in season, now you're going to start to see little piece by piece get faster and quicker and faster and quicker and faster and quicker. And that goes for both roadies and mountain bikers. I think a lot of mountain bikers don't use time trials enough in their training, not just on the road bike for cross training, but out on the trails as well. Don't think that I don't do mountain bike time trials as well, and don't think that all the rules still apply to a mountain bike time trial. They do, and even on tight single track. You want to get faster from point A to point B, your aerodynamics, your rotation of energy and techniques is just as critical as it is on the road bike. Absolutely, you're just not going to be moving typically quite as fast as an overall speed. Again, hopefully these tips are helpful. If you got any questions for me, let me know. Can't get back to everyone, and until we speak again, right with the smile on your face, and go out there and freaking get fast, man. I mean, really fast.